you would see that Caucasian people would take off, he said, their mask of civility and show you their fangs. He also said that there would come a time when that veneer or a covering, he likened it to an onion, where you start peeling back the skin of an onion, and that you were going to see the racism that would come out of white America. And all it took was, circumstances and time. First, when you get a black president that was elected, then you really saw what was lurking in the hearts of many of those Caucasians who felt maybe like they were liberal, or, they always have one black friend or something like that. But then what happens is that when that's fine, as long as that's a black friend you see every now and again, but to have the president of your country, or your so-called country, to be a black man, that was just a little bit too much for a lot of them. And as you say, dementia, that drove some of them over the edge.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to do this because I think it's important, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, that we give definition to what we're talking about. And I'm just gonna let this thing run, and it seems like the studio a lot of times blocks out my signal, but let's see what we got here, because I want a definition. As a matter of fact, see if you can give us a definition of dementia,
okay, so
we can make it clear to our viewing audience, okay, exactly what we're talking about when we talk about dementia. Now, we were all led to believe during the Bush administration that the people that we had to worry about were black folk, Latinos, Muslims, that would do terrorist attacks, and that we had to watch out for these people. Now we see nationwide terror attacks, really worldwide also, terror attacks in New Zealand and also in Europe, where people are literally, for racial and religious reasons, shooting people, shooting non-whites. And so this kind of white terror has been going on ever since we came to the shores of America. This white terror has been going on, from lynchings, police beatings, people being beat to death in jails, taser murders right here in Lafayette. And of course, it's been 5 years, Sister Deborah, since Michael Brown was murdered by Officer Darren Wilson. So it's and not much has changed except the faces of some of the people. But a lot of the activists have been found dead in burning cars. Right. Very young, healthy men all of a sudden getting heart attacks. Different activists suddenly wind up dead in Missouri. And so we understand that when the police feel like they're under attack, they will literally commit murder so that the activism for justice will subside. But for whatever reason, by the grace of God, the people in Missouri, Ferguson, and other places are continuing their push for social justice and change. But it's in the hands, really, of the people. It's not in the hands of anybody else. When the people realize it's in their hands, they'll be in a lot better shape. Now, what was the definition?
It says a chronic or persistent disorder of the mental processes caused by the brain disease or injury, or marked by memory disorder, personality changes, and impaired reasoning.
Impaired reasoning is, all you got to do is watch Fox News or listen to Rush Limbaugh, and you'll see impaired reasoning. Or, of course, memory. They don't remember just a few years ago how they treated Obama and how they're giving a pass to Trump because he's a white man. The bottom line of it is, this word dementia is absolutely fits the American electorate right now, because they are absolutely demented. They're crazy. They have a mental illness. There's a madness. There's an insanity in this doggone country. Now, the thing you gotta understand, and I matter of fact, and I sent a picture for some reason, for whatever reason, we're having technical difficulties that we should not be having on a lot of different ends. And we understand, I believe that the enemy is involved, because I know I sent pictures. But I wanted the viewing audience to see a picture of the very casual way that animal who shot all of those people in El Paso, how he was treated with kindness and respect and allowed to get in the car after murdering dozens of people. But we're going to show you a little bit of video of a man who had killed no one right here in the city of Baton Rouge, or right in the city of Baton Rouge, right down the road. And just to let you see that a man who's killed nobody winds up dead, but the person who had just shot and killed at that time 19 people, now I think the death toll is up to 23 people, how he was treated. A mass murderer, a white mass murderer, is treated with dignity and respect, whereas just your everyday black man who hasn't killed anyone is threatened to be killed as soon as the police run up on him. You have that video, Brother Director?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
We just wanted to run that just to give you a comparison. Yeah, okay. That looks like it. Okay.
Can't get this thing. Does it have sound? This one has sound a little bit. Y'all got some sound?
It sounds good.
It sound good? On the video?
The video no sound.
Okay. I got another one too. Wait, cussing him out.
Yeah, play that one.
That one's the clearest one I've seen them.
Yeah, they got several, but they even making them harder for you to download too.
Dang.
You got to log in or something to put this, and I'm already logged into my Gmail account
I've
on
never
YouTube.
seen this one. Wow. Wow.
Man was asking.
First thing they do is grab for
Let me know if you want to run another video.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and run the other
That
one.
Okay.
one is.
Boy, I swear.
They kill him right away.
But that's a news story.
You saw that?
I said that's a news story. You can cut that.
No,
Oh, they did right now.
That's the one you saw?
Yeah. But I wanted it unedited. I sent you the unedited.
The other one would be a song.
You can cut it. You can go ahead and cut that one.
You could cut it off.
Yeah. Now, that of course gives you an idea of how a person who has killed nobody was handled. Now, the other gentleman, or not gentleman, but the other person who murdered all these people in El Paso, a white man, a white racist, was allowed to calmly get into the police car. But understand that this man, Alton Sterling, his life was threatened immediately as soon as Salamone saw him. He pulled out a weapon, put it to his head, and threatened to murder him then. Now, I want to get into an article, and we don't usually deal with the Advocate, but this time we're going to go ahead and deal with this Advocate, yesterday's paper. Now, the Baton Rouge Police Department has come out with a statement saying that there's no preferential treatment for black officers. Because a white man who murdered a black man on video had to give up his job, all of a sudden, white officers are now whining because they want to be able to murder black people with impunity without any penalty whatsoever. Now, they are saying there's been a complaint, unbelievably, by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, about preferential treatment for black officers. Okay? Now, they released some data that showed that based upon the population of officers, that black officers were more likely to be disciplined. But the idea, the gall of some of these people to push this thing with that kind of video, and anybody that sees that video should just wash their hands of it and say, hey, bro, you're on your own. Even the most racist person should say, hey, man, I can't be with you on that one, bro. You went out there real far. But for them to stick with a murderer, to send a complaint to the EEOC based upon the fact that a white guy was held accountable for what he did to a black man in a very, very minute way. He really should be in jail for the rest of his life, but he had to give up his job in a settlement. Now, I'm going to read something right quick. And I'm just going to start off with the article. BRPD, no preferential treatment for black officers. Now, imagine that a black police chief has to even say there's no preferential treatment for black officers. The idea that we are even having this discussion is really sickening. That this would even be in the paper, or that we would even have to address this. Data shows no significant discrepancies in discipline. Leaders of the Baton Rouge Police Department sent out an email to their subordinates in March after claims started circulating among some officers, we know those are the white folks, that the current administration was favoring black cops over their white counterparts during the agency's internal discipline process. Well, it may very well be, and studies have shown, that black people are abused, and a lot of times the abuse is by white officers. So if they're being held accountable, they want to complain and whine about being held accountable for their misconduct. Okay, let's keep reading. The narrative of many naysayers seems to be that the process is unfair and discriminatory, Internal Affairs Commander Sergeant Myron Daniels wrote in the email, which was initially sent to just the chief and his deputies, then forwarded to others throughout the department. I think the numbers speak for themselves and would shock most. The message included an attachment with data showing the racial breakdown of recent internal affairs investigations stemming from allegations of officer misconduct. The numbers reveal no significant discrepancies along racial lines. The department's response to the recent claims of preferential treatment is the latest sign of strife in an organization that has long grappled with the questions of race and representation. This evidence of turmoil within the department also comes amid ongoing efforts to build trust between Baton Rouge police officers and the public, particularly communities of color. Now, they're trying to build trust. Check this out. They're not trying to make things just. They're just trying to get black people to trust police. But to trust somebody prior to them becoming trustworthy is stupidity. They haven't talked anything about becoming trustworthy, becoming transparent, modifying procedures. But they want to build trust. That comes with trustworthiness, brothers and sisters. Now let's keep going. Murphy Paul took office in January of 2018 as Baton Rouge's second black police chief in recent history. And his first major public decision was to fire Blaine Salamone, the white officer who killed Alton Sterling in 2016 police shooting that ignited worldwide protests. That decision alone fueled discussions about race, both within the department and throughout the Baton Rouge community. But now some officers are alleging a systemic problem that extends far beyond Salamone's termination, arguing that Paul's administration is showing favoritism to black cops using the discipline process for retaliation purposes. Now this is what these white officers are saying. After all of the people that they have choked, that they have put plastic bags over their face to elicit false confessions, after all of the raping of black women in the public parks, after all of the wickedness that these people have done over decades, now that finally a white boy who kills a black man on video is now fired or dismissed from his post. Now all of a sudden, we as black people are supposed to swallow 60 years of wickedness by the Baton Rouge Police Department. But they can't handle one white boy who committed a murder. And there are 5 different videos, at least, of the murder that are all on YouTube for you to see. On other sites for you to see. Now they're saying there's a systemic problem within the Paul administration. Really? They're saying it's systemic. He just got there in 2018. He hasn't even completed 2 years, but now it's a system that white officers are alleging against white officers in favor of black officers. Now talk about some thin skin. And they want to say, now, I mean, it's amazing. And this, of course, is in the Advocate. This is what they are saying about themselves. These allegations are outlined in a complaint one officer filed with the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in May. A third party provided the Advocate with a copy of the complaint, which isn't public record because the investigation is ongoing. The complaining officer, a veteran of the force who has served almost 2 decades. So whoever this officer is, he's been there for years when they've been beating, killing, and hurting black people, shooting black people, sexually assaulting black women, sodomizing people on the side of the road, planting dope on innocent suspects. This is all the stuff that the Baton Rouge Police Department, the community knows that you're doing. But all of a sudden, after 2 decades of being able to murder us without any kind of penalty whatsoever, now all of a sudden, you want to write a complaint. He wrote that he worked in the department's Internal Affairs Department for some time, but requested a transfer to the Uniform Patrol in December after a year after Paul became chief. The reason I requested the transfer, that I personally observed multiple instances of officers being treated differently because of their race. Really? So a white boy now, let's get this straight. The white boy says he just can't take it no more. I got to go to the uniform division where I can get out of here because white officers are being held accountable, and I just can't stand it. So just let me go out to the street patrol so I can just beat up some black people and take my frustrations out there. That's amazing. And that's the way I interpret it. Okay? Now that's amazing. The officer wrote about witnessing the Internal Affairs Commander routinely dismiss investigation of cases levied against African American officers only to promote similar and even lesser allegations against white officers. We already know that and keep in mind the Baton Rouge Police Department is 60% white in a city that's majority black. Let's get that straight. You got a mostly white force putting their foot in the behind of a mostly black city. and in 2019, we should be conscious enough not to desire that. And so that white terror is not just in El Paso. That white terror is also in Baton Rouge. It's also in New Iberia. It's also in New York City. It's also in Dayton, Ohio. It is everywhere. It is what is called ubiquitous or universal or pervasive. It's everywhere. White terror is everywhere. Even it wears badges. And it's amazing that these people all of a sudden, after we've been getting shot unarmed for years, after a year of being in internal affairs under a black man's command, the white boy couldn't take an order from a black man. So I'm just going to leave. Just let me just go out on the street where I can be by myself. I can abuse black people as I see fit, more than likely. And that's just what it is. It's amazing. And so this brings us to another point. But Sister Deborah, I know you want to get in on this. And you can't make this stuff up. They want to talk about the Community Defenders Talk Show, but you all keep giving us the material. All we do is just wake up and there the material is. So don't get mad at us. The general public, and the white society continues to give us this material by your behavior, by your unrepentant racism and your behavior. And so we as black people, number one, we have to realize what we're dealing with. And then once we realize and just come face to face with it, then we have to decide under real circumstances where we can see what's going on. We have to decide what we are and what we're going to do. Sister Deborah?
Well, a couple of weeks ago in the Charlottesville incident that happened where the KKK was protesting against the people that were protesting against police violence, and you had in that particular protest many white people that were in attendance at that particular rally. You remember? And then the white supremacist runs his car into the crowd and kills a white girl. And so recently, a judge ordered the KKK, found them guilty, ordered the KKK to pay those who filed the lawsuit. And you just find that to be very interesting, that when white people sue for, damages, wrongful death against white supremacists, the white supremacists are found guilty.
Because it was a white woman.
Because it was a white woman. And it was some white people that got injured. But when it comes to black lives don't matter. So it's just really amazing that, to your point, that if white folks had to deal with the treatment that they have given to other people, they couldn't handle it. And if they did have that happen to them, they would expect to be compensated for the wrong. But because you're black and they don't see you as a human, they see you as subhuman, you don't deserve.
Alton Sterling's family, in my view, deserves no less than about $17 million from the city of Baton Rouge. as wicked as that was, as open as it was, as open and shut of a case it is, they should have already settled for about 12 or 13 million with the family already. And it's worth millions of dollars. What happened to that man and the way he was handled and treated, and the fact that all of a sudden some white guy can't take it no more. Now here's the thing. The black people haven't complained to the EEOC, even though for years black officers haven't been getting promoted at the police department. Many of them have been fired for frivolous things all the time. And now all of a sudden, after a year of a black man, less than a year of a black man being, all of a sudden you got EEOC. But this kind of thing happens all over the place. It's not just Baton Rouge. It's not just New Iberia with the former Sheriff Ackle. But that mindset of terrorizing our people is, as I said, it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Now, let's deal with something right quick, Sister Deborah. And I need everybody to listen closer to what we're saying. We have been, as an electorate, as a body of people, we've been too short-sighted. And we have not thought enough of ourselves to have a long-term agenda that's good for all that we can unify on. Give you an example. According to what Roland Martin informed us of on his show, Roland Martin Unfiltered, he said that the day after Barack Obama took office for the first time, the gays and the lesbians gave him a 54-page agenda that they wanted done. Black people didn't give him an agenda. We were still in the euphoria of a black president, not understanding that black presidency was going to end, but our people's needs would continue. You understand? So the whole focus was get Barack Obama in, and you couldn't see past Inauguration Day. But the gays saw past Inauguration Day, and they gave Barack Obama an agenda, which he fulfilled the agenda he was given. Listen to me now. We didn't give him anything, therefore, nothing was fulfilled. There's a saying in the street, a closed mouth don't get fed. And we closed our mouth because we were so happy to see somebody who looked somewhat like us in the White House. But as the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said, don't forget that it is the White House. And that Barack Obama was very prudently managing white affairs. He was very well managing a white economy. He was managing the white economy better than the previous white president was doing, which is why he was reelected. But Barack Obama never, to my knowledge, never got the majority of the white vote, even though he's ranked as one of the best presidents. Now, Trump, on the other hand, who was inarticulate, stupid, got the majority of the white vote. The majority of white folk that you know in America, and the majority of white folk that you see, probably 80% of the white people in Louisiana voted for Donald Trump. I'm going to get the actual facts on it for a future show to let you know. And they're going to vote for him again. So here's the thing. There was a whole push, Sister Deborah, for black folks in the Women's March, for black folks over here, for black folks over there in Congress, to denounce Minister Farrakhan. Denounce him. He's anti-Semitic. He's racist. But a white man who's in the White House can say some of the most racist and vile things, and is a racist. Has a racist history. Granddaddy, daddy was involved in the Klan. A racist white man. But you have never challenged any of these white folks to distance themselves from Ronald Reagan, or now Donald Trump. You've never asked them. You've been willing to denounce everybody that white folks ask you to denounce, but you have not made them denounce Ronald Reagan, who said pretty much that Ronald Reagan deserved, and that Dr. Martin Luther King deserved what he got, said he had it coming after the assassination. Now there are revelations that he called black people monkeys. We knew Ronald Reagan was racist. Okay? We knew he was racist in 1968 after the Martin Luther King assassination. But none of them they love and revere this racist bastard Ronald Reagan, who brought crack to America. The pioneer of crack cocaine, Ronald Reagan. They love him. But you have denounced some of the strongest black leaders.
That's right.
But you have never gotten white folks or even asked them to denounce the whole line of racist bastards that have been at the top of the food chain in America. You've never done it. You've never had that kind of courage. You understand? To tell them, look, you need to denounce Trump. He's a racist. He said we don't need any more Mexicans. The Mexicans are criminals and we need more immigrants from Norway. He's a racist. I need you to denounce him right now. You ain't asked Mitch McConnell to denounce Donald Trump. But these same white Republicans can get some of you black folks to denounce the man who called the Million Man March.
That's right.
And for you to be that damn sad in 2018 going into 2019 and 2020 is really a shame. I'm not going to tell you to kill yourself, but I'm going to say that you already have died a mental and spiritual death already. You've already killed yourself when you do some stupid stuff like that. Let's go ahead to the caller. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air with the community defender.
Wow, well said, brother Dallas. Listen, I want to jump in right quick. Not only take it now of people, but you know what, they actually can easily get some of our people who have the same skin color that denounce each other in a minute. Listen, brother, I want to jump into this two things, and I was told to ask you this, but they know we do the show on third Sunday of the month, and a lot of people are interested in this subject matter, and I know it's a hard subject matter for the black community right now. Even the conscious community that I know the issue of Colin Kaepernick, and it relates to what you talked about earlier, police accountability, police brutality, justice. The thing, brother, Darryl, what I think, whether or not Jay-Z is doing it for the money, like some say, and to better his brain, or he's doing it to actually empower others in the future. If that was the goal, to empower the black community at a future state, well, so be it. But again, not to put the whole issue of what people say with the system who now wants to talk about different areas of mind, other than a room. Police accountability. So I think the whole issue is the issue that we should deal with is first in the black community. I want to comment on that. And the other comment to comment on our strong system of Palestinian descent, United States Congress with believe being denied going to Israel initially, and then being offered to go on your humanitarian ground. But I'm glad you took the third call and said, no, I don't need to go anyway. So I want you guys to comment on that. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, well, you've this particular caller has given us a lot to deal with. The thing I'm gonna say real quick, and then of course you can comment on the ban of Sister Omar and Sister Rashida Tlaib, who were initially banned. But here's the thing I'm gonna say. 75% of all the people in the NFL are black. If you're putting a lot on Colin Kaepernick and you're putting a lot on Jay-Z, if 75% of all the players, hold on just a minute, caller. If 75% of all the players can still play in the NFL and they can do business with the NFL, then let us wait to see what happens with Jay-Z. Because I know that Mr. Goodell had one thing in his mind, which is divide and conquer. I'm sure Jay-Z knows that. You understand? But the question becomes, Jay-Z may have something in his mind that's different. When you look at that halftime show that Beyonce was over, that dealt with police brutality in song and pageantry that upset the entire white world, understand that both of these people, Beyonce as well as Jay-Z, are growing in consciousness. And let's look and see exactly what they do. Because a lot of times when they invite you in, they don't know what you're going to suggest. You follow me? And Colin Kaepernick is trying to do what? Play in the league. He's gotten a huge check in a settlement. He's also gotten his endorsement money from Nike that he continues to get. So Colin Kaepernick is fine. He's rich in a capitalistic country. He's fine. We need to watch and see, based upon what Jay-Z has done, based upon him donating. Look at his track record. He's donated to a lot of black causes, got a lot of black people out of a jam, helped black people in their time of need. We just really need to look and see. And once the facts are in, you call it for how it is. But don't judge it in advance. We know that Goodell has a divide and conquer strategy. Doesn't want to really deal with social justice issues. But that doesn't mean that Jay-Z doesn't have something different in his mind. And if the two butt heads, then you'll know what it was about. And if they make some changes, then you'll also know what that's about. You see what I'm saying? So we just have to wait and see. Sister Deborah?
Well,
hold on just a second, caller. Go ahead.
When you look at the situation with Jay-Z, like you said, we can't put words in his mouth. Mm-hmm. We can't put thoughts in his mind. So for us to jump the gun and assume certain things about his intention, because we see the average black person, Jay-Z put this out there, we don't think on the level that he's thinking on. We can't even conceive in our mind to even think, many of us just being a thousandaire. You know what I'm saying? Having, $20,000 in the bank. This man now is a billionaire. So he's not thinking like we're thinking. And see, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad one time asked the minister, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was on the front page of the New York Times. And it was a derogatory article. And he said, the minister was mad, he wanted to rail on it. He said, well, brother, where was my picture placed on that article? I mean, in that newspaper? He said it was on the front page, dear Holy Apostle. This is what Minister Farrakhan is telling out of Elijah Muhammad. And he said, and whose article and what article was it next to? It was next to the assassination of JFK. And he said, oh, okay, so I'm on the front page with the President of the United States. Jay-Z is positioning himself. One thing that these people, and if you go back to the OJ story, he talked about the Jews and about how they control media. Jay-Z knows that the halftime game of the Super Bowl is one of the most widely looked at times at any time that people are watching TV. He's controlled. He has the control now, Rock Nation, over what goes on during halftime. He's positioning himself, and we just sit back just for a second and stop having wanton criticism of everything that's black. Now, if there was a white person that made that move, we would say that he was a genius. But just because it's a black person, we automatically jump to the gun that he's doing something wrong. He's positioning himself, if you think about it, to control the media. At least if it's just for that halftime show. That's going to be broadcast all over the planet. So we can't see the long game on this. And
the thing I would say is we just have to wait and see, because you don't know in the beginning. If somebody sells out, you'll know it when it happens. But you can't assume that. And as a businessman, he makes deals with all kind of people. He's a businessman. But at the same time, if Colin or other people are unhappy with it, understand that they are doing business with the NFL right now. They're getting checks
but
from
I got that.
Is
But
it-
I just want us to sit back for a second.
For a second.
Because the media is so powerful. It changes the way people think. It changes consciousness.
Mhm.
And so if he could get into that, because that's how the Jews control media. They control how trends go. And if you look at his moves, he's making some very, strategic moves that can not just benefit himself, but it can benefit black people in general. It can benefit the oppressed in general. Look at he's the one who backed the whole free meat movement. He's the one that Meek Mill's white friend got in contact with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z called the troops to arm, to get ready for that. He gave the money to what's the brother in Chicago to pay his back child support.
No, an R Kelly?
Yeah, R. Kelly, pay his back child support. He's going around,
And giving money to people when they really, really are down.
yes.
So-
And he could do that. He couldn't do that if he wasn't on the level that, he couldn't do it to that level. And we don't know who else he's supporting. So I'm just saying that, we a lot of times just
Comment on, because the caller did ask you about Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar.
Well, the
and
minister
that.
said that we're free. The whole earth belongs to us, so she can go where she want to go. Period.
Okay, I'm with that.
And
Go ahead,
that's all
call.
I'll say.
Go ahead, call. You're on the air.
Thank you for taking my call. I've been studying the Holy Koran for some time and Bible for some time. Well, the Koran teaches that Jesus was just a prophet. He did not die and rise from the dead. He was not God. He's not a prophet. The Koran also teaches Christians that the kill.
You're breaking up, and here's the thing. We're not talking about the Holy Quran. Now, we can have a discussion about that at some other time, but that's not the topic of tonight. Now, of course, the Holy Quran is my favorite book. And, of course, number 2 is going to be Message to the Black Man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But both of those books are my favorite books. And the Holy Quran does teach that Jesus was a prophet of God sent to deliver something that is called the gospel. And so we are in agreement with our Christian family that Jesus was sent by God to deliver a word from him, which he did do. We also believe that over time, the enemies of God and the enemies of Jesus distorted that word such that now what they say Jesus taught is unrecognizable in many respects from what he actually taught.
And not only that, if you look at certain aspects of the Bible, you'll see things that are probably more offensive in some cases than what he was referring to.
Well,
that it just is an agenda, and they try to throw stuff out there.
Right. People call Muslims and want to know what we think. But if we had a rabbi on here, they would never ask that rabbi, "How do you feel about Jesus?"
Jesus called them devils and said that they,
but keep in mind, the Talmud says that Jesus is burning in hell in excrement.
Mm-hmm.
So their book denigrates Jesus, insults Jesus, but yet they're so friendly with people who openly profess hatred for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they say they're good Christians.
Mm-hmm.
They literally. But they want to question Muslims. My thing is, question your rabbi about what the Talmud says about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Then come back to us and we'll deal with it.
Or what the Bible says that the Jews said about Jesus.
No doubt about it. Now, I wanted to. Can you ain't got your glasses?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Put them on. We got a deal.
Let's see
Look,
what we can do.
we're having some optical problems here on the community defense set.
Okay, let's see.
But look,
What you got?
I want us to get to the solution.
Okay.
Okay, because we're dealing with white terror all the time. Okay,
Number 9.
there you go.
We believe that the offer of integration is hypocritical and is made by those who are trying to deceive the black peoples into believing that their 400-year-old open enemy of freedom, justice, and equality are, and all of a sudden, their friends. Furthermore, we believe that such deception is intended to prevent black people from realizing that the time in history has arrived for the separation from the whites of this nation.
Now, it goes on to say, if
the white people are truthful about their professed friendship towards the so-called Negro, they can prove it by dividing up America with their slaves. We do not believe that America will ever be able to furnish enough jobs for her own millions of unemployed, in addition to jobs for the 20 million black people as well.
Mm-hmm. And we're now close to 50 million.
Now close to
and
50.
While we were waiting on America to get better, 2 generations of our young people have been in prison and given criminal records for doing the same thing and even lesser as white people have done who go on to get an MBA from Harvard and go on to do what they do. And Barack Obama, who is a former president, admits in his memoir that he did cocaine, he did marijuana. Had he been caught with that substance and a felony been put on him, he would not only not have become president, but he would have what? Not even been able to vote in most states. So he would have been not even able to vote. The point I'm getting is that Barack Obama was a person who had weed and cocaine as a young man, who, because he never got caught, became the president of became a senator and then the president of the United States, and was a very good administrator of the day-to-day affairs of this nation, just to be honest. Now, the other millions of people got felony records. Those were black people who got caught with stop and frisk. We can't really afford to give America time and time and time to improve. We're going to have to ask for a divorce. It's not about hatred of anybody because of color. It's about getting away from you because of what you did. If you notice, people don't really have an issue with some of these racist white cops because they're racist, because they're white. It's because they're racist. It's because they're abusive. It's because they do illegal things like rape black women in parks and plant drugs on them, threaten to kill them if they tell about the sexual assault. And I think in Oklahoma, a white cop who was going around pulling black women over, asking them if they had any white you know what, and raping them, and he of course got sentenced to all these years in prison, but his appeal was turned down. But he ran with a group of others. It just so happened he was so off the chain with it that he ended up, but Fox News didn't talk about it. CNN, I don't remember hearing them mention it. But everybody in the world saw a video of a big, burly black young man taking cigars out of a store. And to justify shooting Michael Brown, when it's not even been verified that the person who took the cigars was Michael Brown. The owner doubts that it's him. But the police are saying it to justify the murder of Michael Brown. The point is, how long do we have to wait for America to come to its senses? It's demented. It's continuing to terrorize our people. It's continuing to marginalize our people. And logically, when somebody is bad to you as a spouse, you get a divorce. Have white people been good to black folks? No. We've been married to them for 400 years. Hey, you're not going to do me right. You're going to continue to do this. You're going to continue to do that. Look, let's apply to the World Court for a divorce, and let's have a settlement. Let's divide the resources according to everybody's needs.
It's a separation first, because a legal separation says that the husband has to still maintain the wife for a period of time, or should she get remarried again. So by definition, that's why the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says separation.
Mhm.
Yes, and then divorce once we're able to sustain on our own.
I'll go along with that. I'm with that 100%.
Okay.
But that's what what ultimately we gotta have. And I just want to let you know, get your copy of the Final Call. Go to finalcall.com where you get that truth like nowhere else. That Final Call newspaper is always hard hitting. You're not gonna get that kind of news in the Daily Advertiser, in the Advocate, in the Times-Picayune, or any other place but the Final Call newspaper, published by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. We got a few seconds left.
Yes.
So I want to, of course, thank everybody for tuning in to the Community Defender. We have a lot more to cover in the coming weeks, and we wish everybody well. We love our people. The black man and woman must be raised up, and we intend to do our part here at the Community Defender to make sure that happens. Sister Deborah?
Yes, well, we thank you all for hanging in there with us for 20 years.
plus years.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time, and we hadn't changed that much over the years. But it's been a good ride.
Absolutely,
It's been a good ride.
absolutely. And we continue to ride, even though they're looking at ways to stop this kind of thing.
Yes.
We're gonna try to find ways to continue. May God continue to bless each and every one of you and your families as we greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right.
Somebody else texted me. I'm calling.
Now, can you believe that these people have a nerve? He said he couldn't take it no more.
Yeah, I saw the article. I got the article. I was pulling it up like
These people are some
I saw
serious
that.
demons, man. He can't take it no more.
Brother Dad, I'm gonna send you another email to send to, like, for everything for the community. I'm gonna make me another on Gmail, because that's Cox I'm on, and Cox the settings you gotta set them on in Microsoft Office and all that.
Well, I sent you a picture, and here's the thing I wanted to contrast. And we could even do it with a photo next time.